tall. He stood tall on the issue of public option, and it is my honor and my pleasure to introduce, all of you who already know him, the Congressman, Roy Doggett. He voted for the Health Care Act last week. He is a former justice of the Texas Supreme Court. He now represents Austin, Texas in Congress. And he is a senior member of the House Ways and Means Committee, Congressman Lloyd Doggett.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you for your leadership. What a great day for healthcare reform now. You know, folks, we've been engaged up there in Washington in kind of an extended boxing match with one of the most, really with a bunch of the most powerful interests in the entire country. They're reinforced by the birthers and the Obama haters who just say no and won't accept the results of the last election. Well, we've had at least 3 rounds to go in this match, and after all this time, we've just gotten through the first one in the House. We've got the Senate, the second round, the conference committee, the third round before it gets to the president. But I'm here to tell you this afternoon, as your representative, that I can report from Washington last Saturday night, and that first big round of the boxing match of the people versus the insurance monopolies, we the people won. All of you here who worked so hard for change last November and to engage us in change we can believe in, to all of those people, it was the victory last November that made the victory this November a reality. Congratulations. And as Linda said, to those who declared again and again in August and September that the public option was dead, we brought it back to life. To those who said the insurance company with all its lobbyists, with all its millions of dollars of propaganda and limousine lobbyists couldn't be broken, we did it. And to those who said that families would have to continue suffering without life-sustaining and pain-reducing treatment simply because their bank account wasn't big enough, we have given them hope that they can believe in. Socialism. Well, when it comes to our veterans, I call it fulfilling a responsibility that we owe to them. Government health care works for them, and working together, we will make it work better. What we are providing in this bill is not the type of care we provide our veterans. It's a much more modest opportunity to work within the private insurance system, but to hold those private insurance accountable, and it can work too if we have the alternative for every uninsured person in America to be able to purchase on their own, if they choose it, a Medicare-type public option to keep these carriers honest. I'll have to tell you that the public option in the House bill is not as strong as it ought to be, but it's much better than the so-called opt-out being considered in the Senate. You've heard from 2 outstanding legislators, Elliot Nashtat and Garnet Coleman. Aren't we proud of them and the work they do in this building? But as they told you, even at a time when we came down and said, we'll give you 3 federal quarters for every quarter that the state of Texas puts in to extend coverage to our youngest Texans, to our children, Governor Rick Perry said no despite their valiant effort to make it possible. We don't want to opt out of a choice for tax involvement of folks like you, especially as we move there and as we move to ensure this bill is not weakened either in the Senate or in the conference committee, which is round 3 before it gets to the president's desk. Let me just say for myself, and I know there's some controversy about it, but I want to move forward and take an important step forward on health care, but I'm not going to be in favor of taking one step back on reproductive freedom. This is an economic issue, it is a health care issue, but it is also a moral issue. The Republicans came up with a proposal masquerading as reform that was as skimpy as a hospital gown. They offered health care changes. They would insure under their bill 5% more people and leave the other 95% uninsured. Giant holes. They called it freedom. It was only the freedom to keep going broke if you have a major health care emergency. Reference was made by Garnett to our governor. Well, you know, Texas inevitably in the health and social services area seems to end up being last in everything. We should be first. I thought we were about to lose the race to South Carolina for the nation's wackiest governor. Governor Perry's keeping us in the race. He thinks we need more Tea Parties before we secede. Well, we've got a message to the Just Say No crowd who always say no, no way, never offer any real solutions, whether it's for health care or workers' rights or human rights. This teabag crowd that gathers here from time to time serves up some mighty weak tea, as far as I'm concerned. Mixed with I want to encourage you to continue your passion, because they're out, they're involved. Every time you see a letter to the editor in the paper, every time you see something on someone's blog, every time you hear some of the nonsense that comes out on hate radio, you need to be there to respond. This isn't just about changing votes in Washington. It's about spreading a message to our neighbors and our co-workers and our church and our synagogue members that we as Americans have to make a difference. Yes, it's wonderful that Barack Obama is our president and we have a Democratic Congress, but that's not enough to bring the fundamental change we need on health care or anything else. We need an engaged citizenry that say we won't stand for anything else than genuine reform. You look at those results in Virginia and New Jersey, and you know we've got a big job ahead of us, not just in Washington, but in Texas. We have to energize our neighbors. We have to convince them that their participation makes a difference. That's what you're doing here today. It's not about changing two senators who can't be changed. It's about speaking out and involving everyone in Texas in the change we need next year in those elections. Let's make a difference. Let's get health reform and win all 3 rounds of that boxing match. Thank you very much.